Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at the third, technically fourth, episode of If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device podcast. This is Inquisitor Draco, the first 40k novel, which means it's, if the earlier codexes are anything to go by, and anything I know of Rogue Trader, where the Custodes being naked came from, I wish that was a thing still, this is going to be weird. And not just usual 40k weird of over grim dark, but really grim of the grim with the grim, but we're awesome. This is going to be... Harlequins would look at this and go, oh, clowns in space. No thanks. This is too weird for us. Nope. I just realized I accidentally dabbed there. I feel bad about that. Yeah, so we're just going to run in and just see how this goes. I'm actually really excited because people have been telling me that I should watch this soon and I should have tissues ready. I'm not entirely sure why, and I'm afraid to find out. I'm not going to think about it. Yeah, let's just do that. No thinking. I like that plan. I'm very good at that plan. See, I just practiced right there. I'm great at it. So we're just going to jump right in. Also, I'm going to be playing a pretty large 40k game in a couple hours, so this is going to get me in the mood to beat some Necrons to death. Yeah, this is the largest game I've ever played. 4,000 points. Wish me luck. Granted, by the time this comes out, I'll have already lost. I mean, I will have already won. Yes. Completely won. You guys know the drill. There is a link below to the original video. Make sure to hit it up. And let's get started. So they're doing that intro music again. Definitely feels techno chanty. Like seriously, I expect some like high-tech, futuristic, techno, dystopian, religious institution. So it fits.
Attention, denizens of the Imperial Palace and beyond. This
who is that guy?
Is designated.
Like, who is the announcer?
Omega Prioris.
What?
Continue your operations, but listen at least.
And even the announcer is confused.
To this very inappropriate announcement.
What?
Thought for the day.
Don't.
You have to be 18 standard or older to listen to this. Anything else is unsuitable and heresy.
So I guess they have to kill all the... Whoa. Ah! They have figures for the boy! That amused me. Ooh, Decius is here. His hat got bigger. Custodes, why sweat Moody's?
This was not the kind of break I,
Does the Emperor have hair? Kinda looks like he gave him a wig.
Dumpy Grimbo.
Yes.
Hi. Hi. I am Manclesiarch Decius the 23rd.
Manclesiarch!
I have been brought onto this Voxcast.
I love how they're changing everything like that. I will admit, though, the slight wobbling is driving me crazy.
Record goes by the name Inquisitor, written by
anyone else? I'm actually getting seasick watching the...
Ian Watson, author of the screen story for Steve Spielman's AI.
What? Oh, God!
It is the oldest non-anthology record found in the library.
Oh!
Its age surpasses even that of records covering the Horus Heresy. It indeed.
It's that author.
Even older than the library itself.
This tome was found in several different publications, with its alternative title being Draco by Ian Watson, author of the screen story for Steve Spellman's AI.
Somewhere.
It is the first part of the Inquisition War trilogy by Ian Watson, author of the screen for Stephen's Abominable Intelligence.
It's also
love
been
how they
found
changed
by me under the names the Philosopher's Stone.
I love how
and
he
the
can't read.
Sausager's
They're keeping it
Stone
going.
By Ian
Sausages.
Watson, author of the Harry Spielberg series.
It is A book by Ian Watson, author of the screen story for Steph Spellborg's
I love how no one can get the name right.
I have never read this book. I do not know why, but now I have, and my life has forever changed.
That's the best and worst endorsement ever.
Has awakened things in me.
What?
Terrible things. I yet see them through my empty eye.
This book was a mistake.
How bad are we talking here?
Rippling Minotaur apps.
What?
I am sorry, boy.
Oh, you see things that aren't there through an eye you no longer have too?
Oh, God, Magnus is growing in empathy. How bad was this book?
Around the midriff of my mind. It drenches us with its lurid texts, the text that is the water dribbling from the frigid towel that is this book, soaking us
Of course,
until one
everything he
can
hates
do
is a wet
naught but
towel.
become united with one's uncomfort.
Yes, that is literally how the book is written throughout. It is like sour magic.
Yes!
What?
Magic! Living chocolate amphibians? A ridiculous prospect.
To be wholly
You read Harry
transparent,
Potter.
however, I personally kind of enjoyed is perhaps a bit strong, but
I just caught on. I thought he was
liked
just butchering
this
the name. No, he
book.
actually read Harry Potter.
It was wacky, uproarious, and quite varied.
Also, I love how Harry Potter
But you
exists
are
in this world.
wrong, King of Nipples. This book proves beyond doubt why
Oh,
the normals
yeah, the
have to be
horns.
eradicated, you see.
What did you just fucking call me?
Throughout the reading of this, we discovered that
Oh,
this
God.
author has incidentally also penned a record filed under the name of Orgasm Machine.
We have not had the distinct pleasure of reading that one. But
What?
based on our findings, reading Inquisitor, Ian Watson also writing a book called Orgasm Machine makes a lot of sense.
My Emperor, please join me in my crusade to kink shame Ian
Okay,
Watson
wow,
back to the
that's-
Eye of Terror. Tell us of your opinion.
A custodian's talking about
Numerous
king shaming.
times, this
king
record
shaming
tries
anyone.
to
That's-
insinuate that I am little more than an raving skeleton upon a golden toilet. Therefore, I hate it,
Oh,
and
God,
it needs to
even the
go.
toilet piece.
You've insinuated such things about yourself on numerous occasions, Father.
Nobody riff on me but me.
He's right, you know.
That's mighty petulant, Father.
Is there anything of
Well, I think
value
he's
to
right
be
to-
gleaned from this foul
Emperor or
text, my
Magnus?
lord?
I believe there to be some erudite knowledge intermingled with the layers of rancid fluff that thickens this book. It would, however, be hard for anyone to coerce this knowledge on a single read. It is style over substance given form.
In what manner should we go about covering the
This is
contents
gonna be
of this
painful for me as an
record?
English major,
There
isn't
is
it?
only one way. We must cover each chapter. One by one.
Is he shutting down?
Why?
Oh, God, he's
Because-
shutting down.
Quote, Stanley Kubrick, legendary Hollywood directographist, in conversation with Ian Watson, author of the screen story for Steve Spielman's up-and-coming project, A.
So, Strangely, I sent you a pre-publication copy of my new book Inquisitor that I have written.
No.
Please tell me what you think of it.
No.
Who knows you? Maybe this is my next movie. Who knows you? Maybe this is my next movie. Maybe this is my next movie.
No.
Maybe this is my next movie.
No, no, no,
Next
no.
movie. Next movie.
Did he actually say that? Is this a real
Let
quote?
us begin.
Inquisitor. Pre-prologue.
This book begins with a pre-prologue, as so many
I'm just gonna
books
wipe that
of
from my memory.
legend do. It first needs pointing out that there are many minor differences between the record
pre-prologue?
named Inquisitor and the one named Draco.
Seriously?
Draco is the name of the Inquisitor we follow throughout this epic, and I figure the name change was a result of the Inquisition not wanting Jacques Draco and his base love quest associated with the Inquisition as a brand.
It appears as though
Base
Draco is a
love
newer
quest?
version
Oh,
of
God.
the same book.
Huh, Yes.
But
Wait, they
with some
updated to Draco. Okay.
changes to certain elements and descriptors, possibly in an effort to cover up unwanted information, as is the Inquisition's wont.
Morbidly
So Inquisitor was the original one that was the most lurid.
Well,
Oh, that's the first time he's heard that!
prologue of Draco does make this clear with a note that reads, and my condolences in beforehand, for it is quite long.
Oh no.
My Lord High Inquisitor, I have now examined this particular archive as you requested of me. I can state that the text does truly date from a time around 1200 years before the present day. However, in the absence of a true physical copy of the work, dating a record that exists only as a data file upon our cogitator with any real precision is beyond the abilities of even my most skilled tech priests.
That explains the Cyberdongs. They all
there
read
is
this.
little
Oh
to tell.
god, there's actually a
I have
reason
been
for it.
unable to acquire any evidence of the existence of an Inquisitor of our Ordo by the name of Jacques Draco. Indeed, my researches have led me to believe that none of the Orders have any record of such a personage. However, I have not been permitted access to their most hidden archives, and I cannot therefore offer a definitive answer as to his non-existence. Of his outlandish companions, I have more mixed feelings. The work itself states that the Calidus Temple acknowledges the presence upon its roll of infamy as such named assassin.
Wait, like,
yet in all my years,
they're bringing the
I have
Calidus assassin
never
in?
heard
Like,
of such
model?
a request for information producing such an unequivocal
Didn't realize it had a
result.
source.
The secretive leaders of the assassin's shrines openly would even acknowledge any such query from those outside their order is, frankly, unbelievable. The Navigator, well, we know of all the scorn with which our brothers in the Navis Nobilite regard outside inquiries.
What am I about
As
to
the
get into?
Abhuman, the thread is cut.
So there's an
The
assassin
accursed
that
hive
changes
fleet of the
faces.
Tyrannid put
Navigator.
paid to that line too long ago. I cannot believe, however, that even a renegade Inquisitor, if that is what this Draco really was, would tolerate the presence of such a disgusting mutation. Lord, I understand full well that my role is to examine the facts as they are presented,
Wait, the
to
Hive
report
Fleet?
upon the technical aspects of this
I feel like I'm
archive
missing
alone.
something.
But I must confess to you now, I am sorely troubled. I have been serving you in my capacity as Master Librarian for 2 centuries
Oh yeah, they live a
now,
long time, don't they?
but never have you asked me to report upon such a tangled morass of bare half-truths and inferences. If even a fragment of what this memoir purports to reveal is truthful, it implies a conspiracy of the most mind-warping complexity. Yet where is the evidence? Without it, this work can be nothing but a blasphemous heresy, a traitorous
So I'm guessing this is
final
the
of the
prologue
most
to the actual
evil
book?
kind. This
Or is
work
this a
would
note
be better
they're writing or
destroyed
reading
than
it?
be recorded in any form, lest it one day be revealed to cause who knows what damage to the minds of scholars less skeptical than ourselves. I implore you, Lord, let me erase this heresy. May the Golden Throne watch over you.
How bad is it that a librarian who stares into the warp is freaked out?
Maybe this is my next movie.
This inquisitorial droning
He
was
knows
no
exactly
doubt
what that
added
means,
after the
too.
record was, somehow,
probably
discovered by
don't
the
know what
rest of
movie
the
is for anyone
Inquisition.
besides him.
The conclusion of their review of this book is eerily similar to mine.
What?
I have to say, though, Uncle
wet towel,
Vernon was
really?
a dutiful man. His loyalty to the Imperium was
probably committed
commendable.
suicide, right?
His son's death to the bearish Abhuman was tragic.
Don't remember that, but looking
yeah.
at the epilogue of the
He's still
pre-prologue,
talking about Harry
I
Potter.
liked when they had to specify that the squats are all dead simply because a squat appeared in the record as one of Inquisitor Draco's followers. Oh, if you don't happen to know, dear listeners, the squats were a strain of very short and, well, squat
Completely
abhumans
not
that lived here in
dwarves.
the galaxy at some point. Don't quite recall when.
They were basically bike-herd motors from space.
Oh right, they died to Tyrannid invasion. Eaten.
So many corpses.
Oh, so the navigator with the squat. Okay.
And the Tyranids evolved the ability to be short. Hey.
I have to say, I am surprised the mutant-loathing Inquisition didn't just straight-up censor the squat's identity and replace it with... say, that of a tech priest or something.
That makes sense.
I feel like
Can a tech priest be a
I've
navigator?
seen that done somewhere else, but not in any of these publications. Regardless, more squad formation will be unearthed in the reading. Let us go!
Phrasing.
Inquisitor. Prologue.
The prologue begins with another warning.
Okay, that's just bad
Befitting
writing.
of this book.
Unlike the former, this warning is also plastered onto the original version.
It explains that this record is the Liber Secretorum, or the Book of Secrets, of Jock Draco, the Renegade Inquisitor, the individual whom we follow through this record.
So what would a Liber Secretorum be?
By asking that question, you have confirmed it works as intended.
Yeah.
Perhaps each Inquisitor keeps their own horrid little diary.
That actually be hilarious.
Either way, the prologue goes on to ponder if this book is, in actuality, a weapon designed to sabotage faith and duty, which, yes, that makes sense.
We have the galaxy-spanning ecclesiarchy on one side, preaching from a holy book written by a very heretical brother, Lorgar.
Yeah.
Then, on the other side, you've got a book of very niche fetish pornography, which is being treated by the Inquisition as the most heretical thing known
Written
to
by
man.
an inquisitor.
Good thing priorities are in place.
We did
The
stop
traitor
preaching
wrote the
from
holy
that
book.
my lord.
Have you really?
Actively trying to. We are actively trying to.
My one eye may be blind, but the black pit still sits.
What does the boy see?
It sees shadows, beings past our reality. And the book has enlightened me as to their true nature.
I have changed my mind. This fetish pornography is definitely worse. No.
Did they tell you to burn
Moving on.
things?
A rank amongst the Inquisition's dedicated demon hunting division is also mentioned, known as Hidden Masters.
Oh
This is very incongruous, especially given that Jack Draco is a member of the Ordo Malleus, which is as fucking subtle as the namesake implies.
And after this, the
Well, he was renegade, so he probably wasn't very good at his
prologue
actual job.
begins.
A good book starts with one prologue.
Wait,
The
that was a
adventure of
warning after a
lifetime
warning before the
starts off with
prologue?
At least 3.
It finally introduces Jack Draco.
God, that's
who's
just
writing in
bad
first person
writing.
Here. He is, and I quote, a secret inquisitor of the Ordo Malleus.
Not so secret anymore.
Secret Inquisitor is practically an oxymoron, Ian Watson.
Secret Inquisitor Jock Draco starts hyping up his secret adventure by spoiling the key events in the book.
Really?
He says he has gone to both the Eye of Terror far in the galactic north
Really? He spoiled all
and
this?
the Emperor's very throne room in secret. Then he briefly humble brags about having done those things even while considered an impossibility by the masses. One man could not possibly have gone on such a journey, yet here he is.
Unless you're Magnus.
He goes on to
actually has
claim
done that.
Inquisitors are seekers of truth, which is true. Except
Really?
when it's not,
Most times.
which is always.
Yes.
They may seek the truth, but when they found the truth,
They'd like to burn
tend
it.
to cover up the truth with heresy blankets and then pretend like the truth is the not truth.
What?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Truth.
And now, a
Your truth isn't
metaphor
my
for
truth, so your truth is
consideration.
wrong. Heresy!
Ian Watson.
Basically how it works.
Possession of a secret is no blessing, no hidden jewel. Rather, it is akin to a poisoned toad lurking inside a gem-encrusted box.
Oh,
That metaphor,
bravo!
wow.
Just
Good.
beautiful.
I told
You
you.
may expect this sort of analogy to be but a one-off. It is more.
It's such a
Secret
dumb
Inquisitor Jack Draco
metaphor.
then starts telling this story.
It's gonna be that
in
kind of book,
third
isn't it?
person, Likely for dramatics.
I have a
It
feeling
will
if I
become
actually had to read
obvious
this,
as
it'd be
we
like reading
continue
50 Shades
why
of Grey
that
again.
Possibly could
Get
be.
2 chapters in and I
His
desire to burn the
reasoning
book.
is actually as follows.
Writing.
Though no demon I feel in my bones that it might prove inauspicious to utter my own name overmuch in my own voice, lest I somehow be summoned and bound by hostile human forces. Therefore, I shall become he. I, Jacques Draco, will tell the story of Jacques Draco's experiences to this data cube in the hopes that the Master of the Malleus, or of the Inquisition, may authenticate the truth of what I report and determine to take action. In that
So
event,
he's a first
you,
person
whoever
writing
you
as
are,
if he's
wherever
in
you
third
are,
person about
wherever,
himself.
whenever, may be scanning these words as part of a briefing poised on the brink of a deadly mission. I hail you, fellow Inquisitor,
Oh
Marine
my
Commander,
God,
Hidden Master, whomever. You see, this is probably one of the worst things you could listen to
Yes!
before undertaking an assignment as he suggests, mostly because the grammar requires you to read it 2 or 3 times.
Hail, Draco, I am your emperor. Allow me to reiterate what you have just said. Your reason for writing in
summon
third
him?
person from here on out is, in fact, not because you wrote the contents of the book in before you wrote this disclaimer. It is instead because you are avoiding having your newly disgusted comrades run their way into your love quest dungeon and to bind you down. I completely understand.
Yeah, actually, that
this
makes more
was
sense
the
now I
same
think about it.
logic that drove me to not tell my Primarchs about my Webway project.
I hate everything you just said and I will ignore it. Right, so I particularly
Oh yeah,
like the
because you wanted to
implication
just
that
go
he was
and hit
invoking the
a
true name
Otarian
clause as though he were a demon, similar to the name he provides as an example, Flygzlzale.
Where am I?
Oh my lord!
Fuck off.
Shit, a giant skeleton!
No demons in the throne room, Magnus.
No promises are made.
Technically, Magnus is still there.
Hey, I am unsure why the secret Inquisitor in question, Draco,
Is he
appears
00 Draco?
unusually far into the record. Also, his one defining characteristic is to act like a shitty little snake child. Just like a boy.
Eat the death porridge, sir.
Shut it, snop.
He read Harry Potter.
Draco begins describing his
He's
companion.
calling the boy's name, and the boy talked back.
Is the previously mentioned Squat, who goes by the name of Grim.
Dumpy Grimbo.
The second companion is a navigator named Vitaly Google, who apparently looks
Google?
very old, but is only about 30. A bit par for the course there, I suppose.
What?
The last one is a Calidus assassin, of all things, who, plays the role of Draco's mistress.
This is the first of many signs that this book is going to fuckland and never returning.
And her name is Melindy.
Quite a gaggle of misfits.
Yes, I'd imagine from the outset that this looks to be a fun adventure filled with peril and entertainment and clowns.
Halt, brother. If we weren't to quip about this book every time we find something objectionable,
never stop?
we would remain in this chamber until next week. The boy will starve.
Wait, no. I can just drink my own blood.
No.
I would like to add that he is not speaking in hyperbole. I can determine that we would actually be in here for an entire week.
I guess we should just keep it to a minimum then.
So only a few
well,
days.
That's the end of the 20th and final prologue anyhow, so...
Seriously, why is he up on the
moving on to
ledge?
the first chapter.
Inquisitor, Chapter 1.
Oh no.
Thank you. The chapter opens up on the planet of Stalinvast, in a hive city known as Vasilaryov, amidst a vast and ever-encroaching junglescape.
Really? You sure it's not
City
frozen
keeps the
over? Maybe a
jungle from
wasteland?
getting any closer to the walls by shooting it with a number of gun turrets. This being a very effective use of time, energy, and resources,
By
rather than
the
using
Imperial
a
standards,
series
you might
of
not be joking.
defoliants instead.
Perhaps they have more ammo than they do Weed Killer. Isn't the hive city in question a manufactorum as well?
Yes, they also use the jungle as target practice for their weapons testing. It then goes on to describe a group of robotic warriors who are
Wait,
also
what?
being constructed and tested.
This is strange.
Yes.
All robots in the 42nd millennium are considered archaeotech. It is considered impossible to construct new ones. Unless this world happens to have found an incredibly rare STC.
Or the writer
and
just
never
didn't
shared
care.
The rest of the
Or it's old enough
What
and they
an
hadn't
absolute
established that
fucking
yet.
shame, if that is the case.
Oh, after that comes an absolutely stellar description of the High City's towers, being large Cora-like towers with rose red, scarlet, purple, pink colors. It then goes on to describe a series of
actually the
suburban structures.
They just
which are
listed
likened to
freaking
a
colors. That's
fungal dinner.
if I wrote that in English class,
Not
I would have
very
failed on
appropriate colors for
principle.
a hive city.
It's all the colors of the warp.
Hogwarts truly is a disgusting locale.
There are
I just want them
also
to call him
Space
out on
Marine
it.
vehicles
And the only
being
person who could is
produced
the
here,
Emperor.
as well as Space Marines going through harrowing jungle exercises. And he then swiftly moves on to describe what appears to be a gene stealer infestation that is rapidly eradicating everything in the hive city.
What?
That is as rapid a tonal shift as I've
Then
ever heard.
there's finally some interactions between the 4 primary figures that we shall follow for the remainder of the record.
Secret Inquisitor Draco has the hots for the Calidus assassin.
Everyone has the hugs for the Calidus assassin.
Don't really think they become an item, though. I think Draco and the girl end up hating each other due to psychic chauvinism.
I think you might be skipping ahead somewhat.
Draco talks for a bit about the assassin.
Oh yeah,
maybe
Draco
about where she's
Malfoy.
from,
That took me a while to remember
namely,
him.
the planet Calidus.
I must remind everyone that Calidus is not a fucking planet.
Indeed, my lord, it is a temple.
Yes, and how she's dressed in a very thin toga and wearing pointed Eldar-like shoes. Clown shoes, no, of course.
I mean, the party is intentionally disguised as a rogue trader and his entourage, so it makes sense.
Clown shoes never make sense in any context, and I will not.
Oh yeah, he's afraid of
Anyway,
clowns.
You would be verbally murdered.
Anyway, Draco is on the planet to oversee a not secret inquisitor, one Hawk Obispal, as well as the quelling of a gene stealer uprising. Apparently,
He's just
nobody
watching.
bothered to tell him that gene stealers are not Koa's demons, as he seems to think they are.
In his defense, I am fairly certain that most people were unaware that gene stealers were Tyranids until recently.
I mean, you treat him the
This
same way.
fair, since the gene
Lots and
stealers
lots of
came
DACA.
long before the Tyranids arrived in the galaxy. The Tyranids' morbid answer to a vanguard.
Oh boy, here he comes.
Boy, close your ears.
There is then an overly long description of Mehelindi getting naked, taking polymorphin, coating herself in sin-skin from a spray can, and leaping into some ductworks. While this happened, the lads are openly staring at her supple form as she crams herself into a ventilation shaft.
Polyjuice potion is a hell of a drug, kids.
How many of them did he
This action
read?
is to continue to oversee the battle
think Car
between the
Studies actually got the better end of this
Planetary Defense
deal.
Force and the Gene Stealer incursion. In the scene prior to this, Jock utilizes some sort of Jokero technology.
Fucking techno monkey tech.
There are these little flying drones that are almost invisible to the naked eye, with which he uses to investigate the battle as it unfolds.
As you know, using an undetectable means of subterfuge and investigation is the lesser of the two options, when your other option is to send out a large, pleather-bound woman who has to crawl through ductwork and kill people to remain undetected.
But she needs to help kill the aliens or they'll steal their genes.
Wizards don't wear jeans, shut up, boy!
Oh, and that covers chapter
They're just
1.
running with the joke.
Inquisitor, Chapter 2.
In Chapter 2, we take a break from
I
the
love how
horny
Carstoni's
escapades of
biggest
Jack
rival is
Draco
Boy.
to behold things from Heart Hobby's
He's actually, I
pulse
think, a girl.
perspective. It is equally as morbid. I am pretty sure he quotes an ancient bad text by the name of my cat or something. And if any of you out there are familiar, you will know why this sucks, and will understand why corporate cleanups of the Inquisition are justified.
Yeah, after this, Obispal and his
Nope.
troops proceed to cull the Gene Stealers. This scene continues on for a bit, not going anywhere.
So
in
just, hey,
particular,
there's an infestation,
until
and now it's
we
gone.
cut again back to Draco's hotel room.
Really?
Right.
Draco appears to be musing on the warp for some reason. He's also doubting his, hardness.
What?
Quite literally, he wonders if he's truly hard enough to handle tasks like the one now before him.
The way
What?
this man doubts his capability to do his job is really telling of the Inquisition.
They're not talking about his job, are they?
I mean, it would be if he weren't somehow super competent regardless.
Then we get a fun description of Grim the Squat's home life and how his strain of humanity lives.
Really?
This proceeds to be sharply contrasted by the next scene in which Mehelindi transforms into a gene stealer but not via polymorphin, and how she then proceeds through the ductworks to get closer to Obispal's position. And then we shoot
what?
back to the hotel again, where Grim is preparing to head out and assist Mehelindi, who is now a gene stealer.
After this, there is a bothersome discrepancy regarding the assassin highlighted. She is an initiate, and yet she is actively utilizing advanced Jock Arrow tech, that is to say, extremely rare and complicated alien technology, just here, in the hands of a self-professed initiate.
Father, could it be that she is just that good?
Shut your noise hole, you cockatoo.
The bird jokes are back!
Obispal and saves him from a gene stealer that was sneaking
Okay,
up
we need to get a
behind
Callis
him.
assassin.
She then deftly
What they do to
climbs
command
back
points
into
is
the
crazy.
docks where she belongs.
Meanwhile, though, in another location, the squat known as Grimbo is riding
actually his name.
on a power trike. specifically so that he may rapidly collect Melindy and return to the hotel room.
All the while, Draco looks on using his alien spy technology, and the writer takes no time in admitting that Draco wants to have sexual relations with the Calidus assassin,
who now looks
while
like a
she is
gene stealer.
disguised as a gene stealer.
We basically have Jackton
Death for myself.
Jackton Harkness. Captain Jack Harkness. Before
Boy.
Jackton Cap. Why do I keep doing that?
Yes.
As you were this close to the window, boy, I swear.
Finish the chapter, please.
No, we're finished.
Just Avada Kedavra from
That's
Cars.
basically chapter 2.
Inquisitor, Chapter 3.
Yes. Grimm continues his trek through the streets and side
Also,
passages
it's
of the
written in
Hive City
hotel
on
rooms in
his
40K.
power
weird thing.
trike.
And
there's just several things.
I kinda want that,
Bodies
actually.
Standing upright, killed in these massive street-choking crowds of people, all of them bashing into each other, trying to evacuate. Watson continues describing scenes like this for at least 2 pages. I shall not.
Good. There is enough room
Laboring the
here
point
for all
with
of
useless
us.
detail. I
He
refuse to
collects
acknowledge it.
Melindy and takes her back to the hotel.
Oh, good thing that's over.
Power trike. In the hotel, everyone ogles her new form for some reason. Dark Draco then proceeds to have an internal monologue on how he really wants some of that gene stealer. That is a statement I will not repeat and already regret having said.
Move on, swiftly!
Moving on, there's
Boy is starting to
much
learn
more
words
to
he
this
shouldn't.
chapter.
And
They
Rogel
talk about
Dorn is
how
not
it
taking
works to
it
an
well.
extent. They talk about
I think this is the best part. I just want to see him blow a gasket.
Back due to the calories required to transform in the first place.
Draco orders a sumptuous feast for everyone, while Grimm appears to be less than enthused. He muses that there are millions dead. And here I'm... and that although the gene stealers are losing this fight, that fact is but sugar on the porridge of death. This is the best book ever.
These assholes then have the gall to
That's
point
actually
out
written?
that I have no way of experiencing pleasure at all. Which, while true, is very rude.
Aren't they eating fried chicken while talking to each other?
I wish for fried ostrich. My family can barely afford grilled carp's cakes.
These wizards are truly living a life of unrivaled opulence. Well, unrivaled as compared to an average hiver anyway. The amount of nuts, sickles, and galleons these guys are slinging around is ridiculous. It's like they're eating a succulent leg of bird in front of an audience of paupers.
Actually, yes.
Stop very hungry.
I shall get you a large, non-corpseless sandwich when we are done, boy. Provided you behave yourself and cover your ears when appropriate.
I recall this being the end of chapter 3.
I love how
Yes, you
Rogel
are
Dorn is
correct,
basically
my
just
lord.
adopting boy at this point.
Inquisitor, Chapter 4.
Ooh, Chapter 4 starts off with Hark Obispal, oh no, being hailed as a hero for quelling the incursion.
That's
Annihilating
not
a
name.
gene stealer cult is apparently easy enough a feat that it can be done in a day or two.
And then fanfare, a glorious celebration is held wherein people are dressed up with lizard heads because...
What?
I don't know. That's just a Stalinvest cultural thing, I guess. But in the meantime, Draco broods in his hotel room claiming that the conflict is not yet resolved. His psychic abilities are telling him that there is further amiss with Stalinvest.
As any
Really?
Inquisitor will tell you, there is rarely any reason to assume that an evil is truly vanquished. Obispal therefore strikes one as a proper jackass, concluding his investigation without making sure all is truly well.
Father.
Lorgar.
Shut the
Yeah.
fuck up, you two gremlins.
As he
Fake
sits
Christmas.
in his
Oh,
hotel
yeah, that
room,
is literally
Draco
Lorgar.
proceeds to pull out a leather container made from the flesh of a mutant.
Just like my book.
Nasty.
Then he
Yeah.
retrieves from it the Emperor's Tarot.
For the uninitiated, the Emperor's Tarot is a deck of psychicleatune crystal wafers that psychers may use in conjunction with the shattered parts of my great psyche to predict future events. It's not exactly accurate all the time, but it gets close, and that is what matters.
My other dad, Zinch, is a lot better at that.
We need to stop inviting coas boys onto this Voxcast.
Man, Clesiar just had a little heart
He uses
attack.
the Terror to divine some information with regards to his mission.
To be fair, he also
and
mentioned Zinch is actually
Stalingrad
terrible
as a
at it.
whole, and finds
It's specifically
that, his
Kairos, the
prediction
Fate Weaver,
is
who's good at it.
interfered with
Who Zinch
by
doesn't
a
account
man
for
who
sometimes.
Looks like Elder Harlequin.
In lore, not actual canon, that
He
is.
also divines on one of the cards as an image of Mehelindi, which I assume gives him a raging hard-on.
Boy, stop quoting him. It is forbidden.
Hey boy, perhaps you should become a custodian.
Oh no!
You are still young
Isn't
enough
it
to be
technically
torn
a girl,
apart
though?
and reconstructed by the alchemists.
I will risk a window to have your bulbous frame thrown out of here.
Oh.
Wait, how are you even holding that shotgun?
I will make an attempt to speed this up. So, after looking at his Manpura cards, Draco then uses on the assassin, which is then immediately interrupted by Melindy herself reappearing, no longer in the ducts, where she honestly still belongs. They talk for a short time about the mission at hand, as well as the mysterious Harlequin man.
But Harlequin
She then talks to him about, okay, yeah, you take this one.
An infamous assassin by the name of Mother Gullet who used her polymorphine to swallow a planetary governor's infant son. What bearing this has on the story is beyond me, but it sure is interesting.
Yeah, one moment, boy. She apparently ate the child in order to use it as leverage against the planetary governor, who was being
yeah, that's actually a thing.
It's obviously written as a lesson to all unruly children out there.
Probably
that
did it
if you
too.
act the renegade, an assassin will come to your house and devour you. Remember that well, boy. The next time you ask ridiculous questions might be your last.
Silence! Your continued harassment of the boy will yield you the same fate as that tech priest you are so fond of throwing out the window.
Bold of you
Oh,
to
yeah, they do
assume
keep
you
doing
could
that to the
grab a
tech
hold of
priest.
my unctuous
Good
form
old
in the
Cybergon.
first place.
Are we done with this chapter
Not quite yet, my
Oh god, there's
master.
more.
Jock goes on an inner monologue, talking about his time as a young man on a distant planet, his home planet, where he first learned to be an inquisitor in, Inquisitor Kindergarten.
Please tell me
or
that's not
something.
actually a quote. Please
He
tell me that's not
professes
actually a
that
quote.
He was a child genius, and that he quickly excelled in his studies, and with that information fresh in our brain, that is the end of chapter 4.
Child genius, yes.
Inquisitor. Chapter 5.
And chapter 5. In this chapter, the team departs from the hive city of Basilariov to another nearby hive city known as Kefalov, where Draco seems to think
Are all
there
the
is
names
a
basically
sizable
cereal?
Coas presence.
He detected it after meddling with the Emperor's turret. And, oh boy, while in transit from one hive to the other, Draco monologues internally.
Has he done
once
anything but
more.
monologue this entire
He's now
time?
reminiscing about a close call he had as a youngling, being stuck on a black ship bound for Terra. In case you are unaware, listener, the black ships are part of a fleet intended to collect and transport psychers from all across the galaxy, shipping them to Terra. Draco has been picked up by one of these ships and was to be sacrificed to this here skeleton.
Only I am allowed to call me that.
I'm a rebel, what can I say?
He is.
It is through this vignette that we learned he was romantically interested in a young psycho girl around his age. Aww. And that by being spared from his fate to be sacrificed, he was unable to be with her. He uses this as a flimsy excuse as to why he sexually repressed this record, taking its every chance to talk about every person's desire for the sex. Because Ian Watson is a free spirit, not bound by what makes a book good in the conventional sense, only focusing on what he, himself, wants to write about.
And while that's a fine way to write for your own stuff, that's...
No! Not when you're recording an Inquisitor's investigation into a potential
it
Coas
doesn't fit the
incursion,
context.
one of the biggest threats known to man! This is not relevant information!
It's a completely different type of book.
Do not listen to him, Ian Watson, or any other would-be scribe out there.
He just wants to
Follow
destroy
your
them, doesn't he?
heart, not a formula.
Stop! We require no more sewer goblins writing about their arcane sexual afflictions!
Yes, we do!
He's embraced the chaos. What a surprise.
To right.
What have you done, Magnus?
Inquisitor Leech Person will have his day in the sun.
Shut up, boy. No one who can read would want to read that, and I can read, and I can tell
you can't.
that no one would want to read
Or
that.
did he actually learn
so
finally?
there.
Well, this is quickly escalating out of hand, so listen, please. Draco and
I
company
need to stop
arrive in the
laughing
second
before I get a
hive city
drink.
and begin to make their way to its underbelly, as that is where the ruinous energies are coming from. While investigating, they come across a number of ruinous tentacles intertwined with the streets of the Underhive. They go ahead and start cutting into them with various weapons.
I know where this is going.
The record utilizes
I think
flowery
we all
language
understand where
and
this is
purple
going.
prose to describe how they go about this, almost to the point that it's completely unnecessary. No, not even to the point. It's completely unnecessary. They are certain that this mass of tentacles is the source of the energy.
Nevertheless, Draco and the gang now meet with the clown man himself, Cephro Carnelian, for the first time being thoroughly introduced to him as the reason why these psychic tentacles, the origins of the psychic energies, this so-called Hydra, is
it part
on
of a
the
hive
planet.
fleet?
Draco then starts shooting with his plasma gun and makes a fucking awful statement that goes,
Oh, no.
Blessed are the ignorant, unless they are inquisitors, which, while being a true statement, is just so strangely put when referring to coaps.
I believe this is the site of another discrepancy, as my book had no mention of a combat spell being used. If anything, it's likely they moved the tentacles rather than cutting them in my copy. That, and apparently he and his compatriots used a sort of catalyst to channel their psychic
Oh
energy.
yeah, the wands.
This catalyst being about the size of a twig.
Because it's
Yes,
a wand!
and then the chapter ends with the assassin.
I love how no
chasing
one else
after
is
the
catching
Harlequin
on to the
man.
fact that he's doing a completely
What a
different book.
cliffhanger.
Why does everyone keep saying that?
Oh, because he doesn't get metaphors. Well.
Inquisitor, Chapter
And the
6.
announcer's already done with it. He's completely done.
Who knows you? Maybe this is my next movie.
Okay, this chapter has the assassin going through a literal assault on the mind
Why?
of the grisly carnal variety by a clown man with a psychic tentacle spawn. That might sound mildly amusing, but no, it's just in poor taste, so...
What?
Yeah.
Spot on.
Very poignant.
Moving forward.
The boy vomits and everyone's like, yeah, that's the correct response. I love that.
Ian Watson, why do you do this?
Oh no.
The chapter then goes on to be even worse,
Worse?
by having the assassin say that she wants to perform exemplary suicide for having had her honor besmirched, and then, after some frankly weird attempts at consoling her, Draco goes on an internal tangent about how he's lonely and sexually repressed, and that he wants to fulfill his love quest. Ian Watson, sewer goblin extraordinaire.
Okay, rub the garbage in all you
What?
want. But you're forgetting to mention that Draco Melindian Grimm returned to the hotel room to find it broken into. Inside, the navigator Vitaly Google lies tied up with a leather bag over his head face. He reveals to the gang that some mysterious assailants had broken into the hotel room.
Okay,
and
so
tied up
Vitaly
and stolen
Google
all
isn't
Draco's Jokero Tech spy gear, including all
whatever
of the
that
spy
squad's
flags.
name was.
This has given the Harlequin man an upper hand, for he can now see Draco wherever he goes. Ooh.
Why did they not
It
kill the
also
navigator?
apparently needed specifying that Google had shit himself whilst lying tied up in
Really?
wait for rescue, and that Grimbo the SWAT released him, cleaned him up, and then gave him a massage.
That squat sure is tender.
Alright, that is it. End of chapter.
Inquisitor, Chapter 7.
Allow me to summarize the small amount of actual progression we had in the last chapters.
Nothing's
very
happened.
quickly. The party encountered the Harlequin man, Zephyro Carnelian.
None of
who
it makes
used
sense. Nothing's happened.
ways
Oh, I
to
see
get
why this book is so
information out
annoying.
of the assassin Melindy. The Harlequin man goes on to explain that the chaotic presence in the Underhive is a warp beast called a Hydra. He then chases off the party, and they are forced to seek the planetary governor's astropath.
Yes, in Chapter 7, we are given a very descriptive view of the planetary governor's
Oh no, not
penthouse.
the over-description
The
thing again.
planetary governor is apparently a mutant, which would be a shocking twist if it
Except-
weren't for the scantily clad girls with eyes twice the size of normal human eyes
Oh god, they're going
sex
full
with
on
him
Battle
in
Angel.
the other room, Miss Draco.
Alita, aren't
This
they?
is the literary equivalent of seasoning a lemon with a lime in an effort to make it more sour. You just can't really get more sour than what you started with.
After this, they simply have a talk with the governor, which leads them to gaining access to an astropath.
Inquisitor ignoring a mutant.
This brings us to Chapter 8.
Inquisitor, Chapter 8.
So the planetary governor leads Draco and company to a secluded part of his palace where he introduces them to the astropath, one Mama Pagine, who has a large quantity of small free creatures with her. I believe she refers to them as, well, cats. She seems to
There's a
identify
crazy
with
cat
cats
lady?
because they are
Really?
weird creatures.
Draco dismisses the governor and speaks with the astropath. He informs her that they require her psychic abilities to contact the Imperial Ravagers Space Marine chapter in order to perform an exterminatus on the planet.
It should be noted that outside of this record, there are no other instances of this chapter being mentioned. Even within our own records of Space Marine chapters, this group is somewhat of a mystery.
Probably White Scar successors considering their ravaging name.
After the discussion, Draco takes the old woman aboard their ship and begins to depart. On the ship, called the Tormentum Malorum,
Neat name.
there is an interestingly bleak portrayal of you, my most throne-bound master, as a mummified corpse, standing in something akin to a miniature temple dedicated to
That's
yourself.
In my
Freaky?
version, there is a very imposing bas-relief image of me standing triumphantly over fucking Horus. Not entirely sure if this newer version of the record is trying to suck up to me, but it's nice to not be referred to as a corpse.
Draco then, uncharacteristically for an Inquisitor, changes his mind on the exterminatus.
They can do
After
that?
Consulting his remaining drones and learning that the horrid clown cosplayer, Carnelian, has whisked the Hydra away from the Underhive.
How?
The evil presence thus removed, the planet is no longer a suitable target for exterminatus, and the order is cancelled. Somehow. They then enter warp drive and depart for a lead on Carnelian and the Hydra.
In transit, the party talks with each other for a while, bantering on squats and their life cycles, and how they can live to be almost 1,000 years old, and that the older they become, the stronger they become psychically.
Interesting if true.
Then, in another extreme tonal whiplash, Mama Pagine reveals to the party that she had sent the exterminatus order anyway
Why?
because she had suffered unreasonably at the hands of the governor and his family.
Ow, my neck!
Whoopsie!
A planetary genocide level oopsie.
Yep. And to put icing
Yeah,
on
this
this
is
mass
kinda normal
murder
for
cake,
40K.
this
Oh, more people
astropath
dead,
is
yay.
initially extremely pleased that she killed an entire planet and all potential robot warrior STCs that might have existed on it. But then Grim, bless him, astutely reminds her that all her cats were down there.
Really?
too. And then she cries a bit.
Really?
She's not a good pet owner.
I am in agreement, boy. That is no way to treat a wizard's pet.
And with that cataclysmic event out of the way, we
I'll give him
move
that
on
one.
to
I would do it
Chapter
myself.
9.
Probably why it's a bad idea.
Inquisitor, Chapter 9.
Oh god.
Halfway there. Let's keep a stiff upper lip, my friends.
No, this book makes me limp and feeble.
Draco's ship has since dropped out of
For
the war
custodies, that's
and
probably the
arrived
worst thing
at the
possible.
location they were heading to, a space hulk, or a collection of ruined ship remnants hurled together, floating through the depths of space.
Isn't it an awful idea to traverse a space hulk without proper forces?
Or just enough
Yes,
bombs.
it is usually the job of Terminators, who have armor necessary for such a dangerous task.
And even then, more
the
bombs.
Inquisitor simply intends to enter with some flimsy spacesuits because he is bad.
No, Draco isn't bad, he's good. The best. Whilst approaching the Hulk, they talk amongst themselves about Draco's past inquisitorial work, in which he would slay demons and then have the visages tattooed onto him.
What?
Wow!
That sounds like an excellent role model for the children, tattooing the likenesses of demons on your body.
Boy, do not listen. This is actually a poor example for young minds such as yours.
Okay.
Yeah, don't listen to the man
Hulk is the
Ecclesiarch.
supposed location of Draco's lead, and they go through a brief period of preparing to penetrate the Hulk's still active foreskin in order to reach its clogged interior.
Keep that two-way minimum. The writing is enough. as it is.
They make their way inside. And are
I want that to be how it is
trapped
actually
by
described because
unseen
it's
forces
so overly
using
bad.
gun robots?
Which are referred to as gun servitors in my version.
Yes.
I think
They
someone
fight their
from
way
Lord of the
through
Lands just
most
read
of
that
the
because they're putting that in their
servitors
game
before
now.
being apprehended and
Guns with
overwhelmed.
legs.
They are then brought into a chamber where a few figures are standing, one of which is the clown freak himself, Sephro Cornelian.
In addition to him, there is also Hark Obispal, the allegedly incompetent Inquisitor, and another figure from Draco's past, one Ball Ferenze. Ball's the leader of these men, who are apparently a secret order of Inquisitors
Oh my
unknown
God.
to the Inquisition at large, one known as the Ordo Hydra.
As this is revealed, the chapter ends.
Inquisitor.
Cliffhangers and chapters don't
Chapter
matter.
10.
Because you have another chapter
10
there.
is one of the greatest chapters,
Oh,
at
no.
least as far as being descriptive is concerned.
Oh no.
It is nice for a change of pace, having a bit of light description instead of an incessant lusting after gene stealer asses.
Hear, hear, my master. In any case, the chapter continues where they left off in 9, and the prime members of the Ordo Hydra begin to explain their goal to Draco,
Really?
who they trust immediately.
Really?
They tell Draco that their plan is to utilize the Hydra to unite the Imperium, as the Hydra is a powerful psychic being
It's a freaking
capable
demon.
of just such a feat. From there, they intend to use the combined might of the newly unified Imperial psyche to completely obliterate the warp using your mind.
That wouldn't work.
As a beacon.
An interesting plan.
Stupid.
I can only see one minute issue.
It's stupid.
It's that this small gaggle of Inquisitors with no oversight are intending on unleashing a warp monster onto the Imperium as a whole, including me, to create a human hive mind all linked by and under the thrall of a great material beast.
That doesn't really seem like a good idea at all, my lord.
Accurate.
I'm surprised you think so. Having a human hive mind sounds like one of your greatest wishes.
I am complaining about the involvement of a warp monster, not the concept of a hive mind.
Ah, so just replace the giant immaterial squid with the big angry warp skeleton, full stop, and
Yep.
it'll be fine.
I know you are dunking on me, but you are right.
So
actually
after they
okay with
finish,
it.
Cornelian explains that this Hydra's
Oh,
abilities
jeez.
had already been tested on Stalinvast, and thus they had a starting ground from which they could base their plans on.
Draco then interjects, informing the Harlequin man of one fatal issue.
It's stupid.
Stalinvast has been wiped out by the astropath Mama Pergine. This information seems to startle Cornelian for a moment, who seems to undergo a number of emotional flashes while he processes the information. Before he draws a last pistol and blasts Mama Pergine, seemingly in despair that an entire planet was annihilated for no good reason.
I am
Well,
now rooting for
mean-
these Hydra weirdos. They killed an evil old woman who destroyed an entire planet.
And cats!
not the cats.
And that was the end of chapter
And
10.
Cars and Boy are so on the
One,
same
but
level.
recently,
I think
alright.
Boy is actually a little girl. I think they mentioned that.
Inquisitor. Chapter 11.
Following the execution of the vindictive old lady, Chapter 11 brings in a more relaxed
Not the old cat
setting.
lady.
As in, they've moved to a dining room on a space Hulk?
The
What?
concept of constructing a dining hall aboard a dilapidated congregation of ship's parts is weird.
Yeah.
Weird is a light way of putting it, my lord.
Cornelian briefly explains his reasoning for killing Pergine, and then goes on to extend an invitation to join the Ordo Hydra, so that Draco might assist rather than hinder the Ordo's plans.
Again, having no real reason to trust Draco, since he has been functioning as a secret inquisitor, incidentally working against their wishes this whole time.
What better way to stop an investigation than to bring the investigator in on the grift?
What better way
Kill
to
them,
disband
like
a
usual.
horrible cult than to have their leaders bring an opponent into said cult as a high-ranking member just because he seems nice?
Touche?
This trust in Draco is further illustrated
is literally
by them
what the
giving
Emperor
him a
did to Magnus,
small
though.
sealed container with
least in this variant.
a chunk of the Hydra in it. Their intent being that Draco will go out into the Imperium and spread the Hydra. Draco takes this box and leaves with his party in tow for the ship.
Really?
Aboard the Tormentum Malorum, they begin to wonder what they should do.
Destroy it?
Them being of the
Poison
opinion
it?
that they should
Give it to an
simply
astropath
flee
who
to the
can,
furthest
kill it?
reaches of the galaxy and hide amongst
Bombs
the
work?
uncharted stars. Google shares in this idea. Draco and
Oh,
Merlin
yeah,
are on
defeat
the
Google.
fence, however, and they go to their quarters to think on the matter. Draco seems to be lost in thought when suddenly Merlin enters
Oh
his
my god,
room.
what is this
Boy.
happening? Oh.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They talk to each other about their concerns and insecurities. Then they begin to have sex.
Whoa! Hold up. That's way different to what's in my
Draco
book.
goes on to describe Mehelinda's various tattoos, having now seen her several
she
naked
shapeshifts. Does that mean she shapeshifts into tattoos?
Whoa! Stop! That's wrong.
There's
What?
even a tattoo of a spider upon her unshaven groin, in which Draco begins to.
What?
It is then just
No,
described
stop!
as a hairy
Wait!
spider tattoo, which lends further credence to Ian Watson being a sex pervert. Evidently, it was so good that Draco is exhausted afterwards. His long-standing love quest comes to an end.
They're done now, boy.
I could still see the images in my hollow eye.
No.
Harry spider tattoo engulfed him.
Why does this book curse us?
Their frustrations and insecurities allayed for the moment, the two then decide to not flee, but to take on the Ordo Hydra. They figure that Carnelian specifically had showed the assassin the abilities of the Hydra in such a horrid way, specifically to show them how total a tyranny was being planned by the Ordo Hydra. Carnelian must thus be a double agent out to manipulate Draco and his gang to fight against it. Melindy then goes ahead, uses some polymorphine, and consumes a portion of the Hydra they were given so as to gain immunity to it. Then they prepare to depart for the Eye of Terror. This ends Chapter 11.
Why?
Inquisitor, Chapter 12.
Picking from where we left off with Chapter 11, Chapter 12 has us mid-transit to the Eye of Terror.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Just as a reminder, do not go to the Eye of Terror. That is a bad idea.
They then enter the Eye of Terror in order to find the source of the Hydra, so that they might learn of a way to vanquish it. While on the way, they
Bombs,
see a
guns,
large
DACA,
cladded
like
warship,
everything
which,
else.
According to the author, looks like a crab. While traveling through the initial layer of the eye, they settle down and have a nice dinner.
That's a weird thing I've noticed. Almost every meal they eat is of the highest quality, and they eat them at the most bizarre times.
Yeah.
Like tacos on Tuesday.
No,
That's
no,
pretty
tacos
much
are a
it.
thing.
Chapter
That is a
12
thing.
is kind
You
of
don't have them on Fridays.
consequential.
Thursday's your pancake day.
Inquisitor, Chapter 13.
The Tormentum Malorum begins its approach into the Eye of Terror in search for a specific planet.
Which should be
Which
hard enough in
planet
its own, right?
Specifically,
They're not going to mention, are they?
I'm not sure. I may have glazed over that information. Sure wasn't the planet of sorcerers at the very least. But they are indeed searching for one planet in particular amongst the countless consumed by the Eye. In any case, they begin their approach to one of the planets, a dark green ensorcelled world, which
For
is
those
covered
quick-witted in the audience, this means we are about to descend into the Principality of Gross.
And they land in
green,
the foothills outside of a city, which they have great trouble visualizing due to the intense green fog.
I understand the need for urgency, but that really just sounds like an absolutely terrible idea. Let's just land in the fog of war on a planet that has been overtaken by chaotic energies, with no supporting force, no idea what we'll be facing, and only a funny squat to defend ourselves.
Who's okay with giving random massages
Tactical
to people who
genius
just
at
crap
its
themselves?
finest.
There could be trolls in those foothills, or weird bald men drinking unicorns.
As they land, they take some time to muddle their void suits somewhat to make them blend in with the local populace, as well as have Mehelinda shapeshift into a gene stealer.
What?
An act which
Why?
pleases God to no end.
Anyway, they depart closer to the city so that they might find some answers as to what the Hydra could be. While traveling, they cross paths with another group, but these beings are cursed with the taint of Coas, as Ian describes gleefully.
Boy.
Oh boy, I am now going to read this entire segment where
Oh,
the
no.
record proceeds to explain how these horrid creatures look, for no reason.
What?
Here we go.
Oh,
A bull of a man, clad in plate mail, led a dozen capering monstrosities out from behind a stalagmite-like tower of rock. Formidable horns curved from the sides of the leader's head, jutting forward, streaked with dried
So far, it's
gore.
not too bad.
His armor was wrought in the contours of bones. Metallic bones were bent into hoops around his thighs. Bones melded to bones made runic designs. Layering alien skulls capped his knees. Giant toe and finger bones encased his boots and gauntlets. And obscene
If you use a word that
codpiece of
much that
artificial
often, you're doing it
bone
wrong.
Bulged, encrusted with bloodstones suggestive of ulcers. He also wore a fine satin cape that cut a dash in the breeze, and a golden necklace with an erotic amulet. To Jock's senses, the bullman radiated an eerie, brutal sensuality.
Random satin cape, okay,
His
sure.
ear seemed to say that even bones could copulate, that even metal could debauch itself, though not in any soft style. Behind the leader trotted an upright tortoise of a man whose squamous head poked out of a barrel-like shell spangled with iridescent stars and crescents, as if he was a walking galaxy or a mad magician. Silk ribbons fluttered like streams of burning gas. Did he ever crawl out of his shell onto some couch at night, tender-bodied, squashy, all of his pleasure nerves exposed to the ministrations of some large, wet tongue? Another warrior wore a brass waistcoat and leggings glued with some gold braid as if furry caterpillars crawled upon his armor.
Why?
On his left arm, he sported a sheath of tentacles.
Yeah, that's standard
on his
chaos.
head, an exuberantly ringleted periwig. Yet another, who was visibly hermaphroditic, in plus crystal armor, thrust forth a great lobster claw, studded with medallions. One thin, tall, small-breasted figure, braced with a clanking baroque exoskeleton, bore the head of a fly, upon which perched a cocked plumed hat. A brass-bound ovipositor jutted from her loins. Her neighbor was a striding, slavering two-legged goat in rut with a starched organdy ruff fanning around his neck, lace ruffled at his elbows, and a velvet cloak. Only one massive man appeared to be true human. He wore a nightmare parody of noble space marine armor, engraved with 100 demon faces, though disdaining a helmet. Great flangled pipes soared sidelong from behind his head, as if copying the bullman's horns in reverse. That head was of statuesque marble nobility, the hair bleached white and permed into waves. At the tip of his aquiline nose, he wore an emerald ring that suggested Jock a drip of mucus. One cheek was tattooed with sword and sheath poised like lingam.
Oh god, he has a nose ring and it's dripping.
Alongside this traitor marine there danced a mutant woman who was at once beautiful and hideous. Her body, clad in a chain-mailed leotard trimmed with rosettes and puffs of gauze, was blanched and petite, her hair blonde and voluptuous. Yet her jade-green eyes were swollen ovals, set askew in an otherwise sensual face.
Ostrich?
Her feet were
Do they have claws?
ostrich claws, ornamented with topaz rings. Her hands were chitinous, painted pincers, a razor-edged tail lashed behind her plump buttocks. How like a demonette of Korath she seemed. Google groaned at the sight of her and took an involuntary step forward. Grim gritted his teeth and... Yeah, that's it! I do not need to read anymore, you get it!
Hey ha, got him. When I said gross you were probably thinking Nurgle. Nope, it was Slaanesh the whole time.
Absolutely disgusting!
It comes
Seems
as no
about the same.
surprise
They
that
both
we
spread
get a
diseases pretty well.
painfully accurate depiction of the blight of Koas upon the human form. Do you know, in addition to all the boobular nipple rings, exactly why we got this drawn-out explanation in the first place, when all of these creatures are dismissed as irrelevant barely a chapter
Seriously?
after the fact is a question everyone already knows.
Really?
the
They're not even
answer to.
important? He did all that work describing them?
True purpose on the planet. Jock banters with the Coas townsfolk about things for a while.
Really?
And taking no time to explain to them that he is having sexual relations with Mehelindi, who might I add, is still disguised as a genius.
Oh, wait! You have forgotten the best part about her
What?
transformation!
No!
Did you not wish to talk about the fuck pouch that she grew to simulate a vaginal opening as a part of her disguise to these filthy Coas folk?
What?
Who knows you? Maybe this is my next move?
Did he really say that?
And yet I find myself ostracized for wanting to call them.
The servants of he who shall not be named are wily and disgusting.
Voldemort.
Truly, Ian Watson understands the subject matter better than we could ever
Oh
hope to.
God.
I'll never want to understand Coas.
On that point, we agree. I mean, shut it.
Suffice to say,
Cars is
the
actually starting to
Coas
like Boy.
warriors are only slightly duped by Draco's ploy.
They were
and
even
combat
slightly
ensues.
duped?
Lovingly rendered combat, I might add, to be entirely fair. It is not bad.
At least he goes to as much detail in describing their wretched bodies being torn asunder as he does in describing the wretched bodies in the first place.
But if they're meaningless, why
After
waste
dispatching
words
the
on that?
band of Coas people, they moved closer towards the city on the horizon.
Unless they're
when
set up
they
as a
hear
group of
very
everyone is
distant
descriptive of the
noise,
whole, but
which
if
is
they're not, it's
explained
just
further
dumb.
in the next chapter.
That only really makes sense if you're going to deal with that group in a long period of time.
Chapter 14.
All
You
right,
don't have to describe
so
every
we
person, you
begin
just pick a
chapter
group of them
14 as Draco and his cohorts enter a city.
Horned phallic towers, wrinkled, ribbed, blistered with window pustules.
That seems still more notable than
Cancerous
Slanesh.
breast domes swelled, fondled by scaly finger buttresses. Tongue bridges linked these buildings, sliding back and forth. Scrotum pods swayed. Orifice entries pulsed open and shut. Some buildings were in congress with each other, headless, limbless torsos laying side by side, joined abominably. An architectonic orgy.
Ian Watson must be a master at writing one-handed at this point. I will give
No, I just got that.
This is, of course, one of the other great wizarding schools. I couldn't tell you which, but all you need to know is that Hogwarts is sanctioned, and this is not.
Hogwarts or bust, I guess.
Bust indeed.
See,
Draco and friends can hear a noise coming from the city. The noise, as it is now described,
no.
seems to be emanating from a large, vile figure upon a palanquin being pulled by chaos monstrosities.
Ah, that must be Hagar the Horrible, the bear man who tore Uncle Vernon's head from his body.
Around said figure
What
is
book
an
was he reading?
entourage of warriors clad in traitor's armor. They are
Apparently,
briefly described before.
It was updated a bit.
Yeah, Bool.
Really?
The obese woman upon the palanquin is a noble lady of sorts that is shouting for her concert. Yeah, shouting for him, Bool. He was the bull of a man described earlier. The one with the bones, the bulging bones.
As she screams, her voice is so cacophonous that it rings across the boob hills and is audible from impossible distances. Jock and the party proceed to set up an ambush to eliminate her protectors.
Why?
And they do that with relative ease, I might
that
add.
happened.
Something that really shouldn't be doable on a Coas planet with naught but bolt guns and a psychic weapon.
They're just that good! All the adepts of Slanesh are just that bad.
Very
Yes,
bad.
yeah.
Her escorts thus disposed of, Jack
They probably
begins
enjoy
torching the
dying.
Fiend for information as to what
I meant it as a
behind
joke,
it
but that
is,
might be real.
and whether gene stealers are involved. He gets a bit of information from the thing before she is eliminated from a long distance by none other than Zephyro Carnelian.
Oh no.
Who appears to have sniped and killed this monstrosity with only a las pistol.
Really?
This statement is bothersome.
Yes.
A las pistol does not have a significant enough charge to be
It's a
fired
flashlight.
at long range and be expected to instantly kill a malformed chaos worshipper.
I thought it was a sniper rifle at first, but no.
My first time through, yeah. Why?
Why
Do
is
not
the
dwell on this. There
why
are
is the
far worse
freaking
things
clown
in this
using a las
record to be
pistol?
dwelling upon.
He's just that good. Haven't you realized this?
He's having way too much
Right.
fun with this.
Of course. That ends chapter 14.
Inquisitor, chapter 15.
We're almost done with this, I'm glad to say. I need to take an aspirin. About 50 to be precise.
Yeah, same, actually. My head is ringing fiercely. And that's a vicious feat considering my superhuman physique.
Oh, you all shall drink from the manclesical fountain of aspirin after this is finished.
There's a fountain of
There
it?
is not much left to this tome. Carnelian has finally confronted
Sounds like
Draco
it'll be
at the
useful.
party, and he chastises him for betraying the Ordo Hydra.
It is as though the people within this book forget the limitations and abilities of various beings, ideas, and concepts seemingly at will. Almost as if they are only paid any attention when they serve the narrative.
But my man, Emperor, this is an account of someone's adventures, not a work of fiction.
Oh, right. Well, forget what I said. Jacques Draco is just a massive weirdo.
Yes. Yes, he is, my master.
Oh, I forgot they treat
Carnelian
everything
then
as
orders
if
his
it's
two
real in
compatriots who appear to be
40K.
armed with heavy
GTO's
bolters
variant.
to begin to take down Draco and his team.
With a las pistol.
Naturally, Draco and company escaped pretty much unharmed.
Because it's a las
They
pistol.
then depart on the Tormentum Malorum, seemingly with no plans and no idea how to tackle their newfound problem.
Blow up the
Think that a
planet.
good place to start would be to get past the giant dog that they encountered earlier. It's obviously hiding something crucial to the story.
Don't read the
I
brooms.
think you may be reading a different story.
Shut it, boy. You have no regard for foreshadowing and obviously have been slacking off and reading our
Holding
book.
the book upside down.
Oh!
I knew
Boy
that.
is going
There's
for
a
it.
picture in here that's upside down, and I wanted a better look.
That's not the book we were reading.
Huh. It isn't. Shield Captain, what is that book you are
Yes,
reading?
they're calling him
I
on!
have seen this book before. This is a fictional account of a wizard from ancient Terran times.
This book was intended for small children during this time, and yet he thought it was an account of a rogue inquisitor seeking to undo an Imperium-wide conspiracy group. That is extremely funny.
What do you mean? Everything I read was a lie?
Well, yes, it's a fictional story meant to entertain babies. Clearly, it did its job.
Oh!
I hate you! This is all wrong!
Case is a lie, truth is a lie, as Jacques Draco would put it.
You don't understand! I loved these people! I loved Ronaldo. He was a lovable goof who was never afraid
book
to
was
speak
awesome.
his mind. And now he doesn't exist!
Oh no, it's happening again.
It's okay, sir. He still exists in your brain.
It's not the same!
To be fair, if you thought it was real and then you found out it wasn't.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's just like the time when we were reading him The Giving Tree. I think he's taking it a bit harder because he's the one reading it this time.
What a fucking nerd. Keep going. We need to finish this up.
I actually
with or
like him
without
more for
him.
that.
Right you are, my master.
Our stories is kinda
So,
awesome.
We left off on...
Chapter 20 and it's over?
That's it. Alright, so chapter 16
Oh
is here.
my god.
Inquisitor, chapter 16.
Right, thank you. This chapter seems to meander quite a bit. It starts off with the crew aboard the Tormentum Malorum lamenting their current position in the state of affairs in the Imperium.
Everything's
Jacques
bad,
is
it's all going to shit?
concerned That his
Normal?
crew doesn't trust in his ability to lead them. Grim
That's
is
sudden.
despondent. It seems to want to drink excessively. Meherlindi shows absolutely almost no emotion. And Google continues on to contribute a bare minimum to justify his existence in life.
He's a navigator. What were you expecting out of the little pervert?
I don't know. I just find his existence redundant. Jock could have spent this entire time having not even mentioned his name, and I think we would have had about the same idea as to what is going on.
Complain about redundancies later. Read now.
Of course. They spend the chapter visiting the resupply depot and the star system of
Really?
Bandicoot. It says Bandicoot. I'm sure.
Is that actually what it's
You
called?
are in need of prescription spectacles, sir. The star system is called Banderkeet.
Practically the
It's
same.
like a barricade?
Anyway, during this time, Google seemed to dwell on the repulsive fiends from the Coas planet and how he felt aroused by her presence. Meanwhile, Jock muses on his
Slanesh.
attractive femininity in her gene stealer form because, of course, he does.
At least he acknowledges it.
Unfortunately.
While all this is happening, your boy Grimbo slips from their attention and goes on a drinking binge aboard the station, staying for way too long and almost getting left behind as the Tormentum Alarm was preparing to depart without him.
To think, we almost lost the only redeemable person in this record due to impatience.
As they leave the station, they resolve to find a way to alert the Emperor himself on Holy Terra about the plot. This irrational bag of bones must know of the tentacle monster.
If it were up to me, and I had the ability to take in visitors, who are screened to the point where we can see the DNA of their very pubes, I would. Granted, if I were to know what Jack had been up to prior to this point,
He wouldn't
I
get
probably
in.
would just throw him out the window.
While I wouldn't begrudge you that,
Probably
my
just have a
lord,
functional
I would prefer
opening
to be the
window
one
just
to
because
throw
how
him
many times they have
I
to throw
would
the
too,
Inquisitor out.
honestly.
As would I.
If I were strong enough, I would destroy him.
Do not worry, boy. Someday in the future you may grow strong enough to defenestrate foul, depraved secret inquisitors.
Sounds of childlike
That
wonder.
is likely the first and only time I shall be warned by boy's childlike wonder. Oh well, finally en route to Terra, Melindy
being
reveals to
amused.
Jock a horrifying truth.
More horrifying?
And for once, it isn't anything utterly
Oh!
depraved.
I'm actually surprised.
When she was a young trainee for the Calidus Temple, she was given some sort of special thing. Again, not depraved, but it's not very well elaborated on. Regardless, said thing stops her from transforming into anything other than a gene stealer with her polymorphin, and that she is more or less consigned to this singular and specific talent.
That's
Lazy
doesn't
writing.
sound like a very good thing, to be honest.
No.
Nope, but this does end chapter 16.
That's stupid.
now.
Doesn't even make sense to add it.
Inquisitor, Chapter 17.
We smash cut to Jacques inside of a crate on board a transport ship bound for Terra.
That's a bit of a jump there.
Why, yes, straight into the action. You see, Jacques and company have managed to board a black ship now.
Why?
Stuff their bodies into boxes in order to be transported to Terra without worry. Jacques
That's
explains to his readers that
stupid!
He has convinced the not-secret Inquisitors aboard the black ship that there is some sort of kidnapping ring that has been stealing the young, psychically imbued children who are to be sacrificed to the Emperor as slaves for various uses.
He appears
probably.
to imply something very foul here, though sincerely I hope it is simply me reading too much into this.
Oh, I just got what they were
Not-secret
talking about.
Inquisitor aboard
being
the
sacrificed to the
black ship that
skeleton is the better
transporting
option.
The boxes is described as having alien fetus earrings. I just wanted to mention that.
Move on.
I am sorry, Master, but I must point out how completely asinine it is that this secret Inquisitor
Okay,
is
just
attempting
ignoring
to
that.
secret himself onto Terra.
Secretly.
By lying to the supposedly highest security captains of a black ship and hiding in a box.
Yep.
He is sneaking
Also,
onto
the
Terra
Sisters of the Silence were still
by
around on those ships.
hiding in a
That's where they're at, apparently.
He's attempting to sneak into one of the most heavily defended locations in the entire Imperium by hiding inside of a box.
Is it cardboard?
That would be funny, were it
Or
not so
not so personally insulting.
Stop dwelling on it and move on, damn it.
If we time skip again to Jacques and his party disembarking from
And
the
it just
crates,
magically worked.
which appear to be bound for the kitchens in the lower sections of the palace itself. After they sneak out of the kitchen, there is a bizarrely detailed description of a custodes killing a rat. Oh shit, I think that might have been the shield captain. After this, they disguise themselves as agents of the Administratum using some grey robes. They are let through into a secure area simply by having these robes on. In this portion of the workings beneath the palace, there are signs of heavy machinery being used to power the throne, and there are... Alright, are you with me on this one?
Oh no.
3, 2, 1...
Sodium vapor flambeau behind high false clerestory windows of stained glass, painted patches of amber ichor, sap, and hemoglobin across the tessellated floor.
For those of you
That
survived
literally means
this
nothing.
barrage, this large, needlessly descriptive sentence is being used to describe a window, the lamp behind the window, and the color of the floor.
Which looks like blood.
Stylistic writing!
This
No,
goes
it's just
beyond
bad!
Stylistic. This is not just flowery writing. The sentence is a winding hedge maze of an entity. That is
The Great
indicative of
Gatsby was
everything
stylized.
ridiculous about Ian Watson's writing
This
style.
is just
It took the more illiterate of us 5 whole
shove
fuck
words in
muttering
there,
minutes
hope no
to
one
look up the
realizes it's just
definitions for each
stupid,
of these
because you
words
say
in
nothing.
various dictionaries we had on hand. Please, if any of you are thinking
This is
of
when you write with a
becoming
dictionary without
scribes, do
understanding
not
what the
stop
words are.
and force
Or
your
as the
readers
source,
to
even worse.
drop
Ooh,
your
this looks
book
interesting.
and
I'll
pick
use
up
this
a
word.
dictionary every other chapter just because you need to assert your talent for finding obscure words. And to any intellectual types out there beginning to write an email to us about how it is the sign of a learned man, who includes such advanced words and
No,
phrases
it's
in the
not!
text
A
medium,
learned man
this
would
record
kick
is
you in the
shallow
face. An
and only
idiot thinking they're a
artificially
learned man would go
it
for
is
that.
depraved, uncanny, and
Oh,
most
God.
of all boring. This is not a text that is even remotely entertaining or informative due to the way that it is written.
His voice is
the way
breaking,
its
though.
story and
Must be
personages
really
are
upset.
handled, and even its breakneck pacing. What little entertainment we have derived from this text is obtained purely through the sheer hilarity that comes with something so
Steven Spielberg
irrational,
said this will be his
attempting
next
to be
movie.
presented as a serious story. This book is crap.
I agree. The Emperor is completely spot on there.
Who knows you? Maybe this is my next move.
Out the window. What if they should call it the Inquisitor?
You good, my master?
I
No!
find my reality growing ever more frustrating, and sometimes I need to have this established by physical means.
Right, so that's your little rant over, Father.
No,
I
he's completely
entirely
accurate
agree
there.
with your assessment. I think that while his stylistic writing can go quite far in places, there are some chapters in which it fits to illustrate how truly gruesome and depraved the Imperium can be. It's like he's painting a detailed, intricate picture
More
with
surprised a
nothing
rat
but
could
his
survive
words.
in the
I agree
palace.
with this comparison in only that treating this is like watching paint dry.
Look, we all have our problems with this account.
Yeah.
From its sheer unbelievability to how this Watson man portrays everything with this bizarre sexual tinge.
Why, if it isn't the bacon calling the salmon oily?
It's adorable when I do it.
What I
It
think
is.
he's getting at is that we've
Actually,
all
it
got
is.
problems with this thing. Whether or not Jack Draco indeed managed to infiltrate the Imperial Palace and came in here and spoke with you, Lord.
A fact I refute vehemently.
The way this book is written makes it very hard to get invested in his travels, as it is quite clear he was, indeed, trying to get us invested.
If you feel the need to enhance a tale about a rogue secret inquisitor seeking to save the very Imperium of Man from total destruction at the hands of a sinister cult, then you have not told the story properly.
Rogel is right.
Rogel is correct. The story stood every chance of enrapturing us with its contents, and yet here we sit, repulsed.
It's rather sad when you think about it.
Kind of, yeah. Should we continue on and prepare to end this book?
Sure.
With fire?
Whatever. This has gotten quite sad, and I would prefer to feel angry at the contents of this book.
Right away, my master. We left off at the overly descriptive lamp, window, and floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Further described in the room which Draco
Oh God, he
and
did
company
more?
find themselves are the pumps and machines that filled the throne with life. The life in this situation seems to be a number of fluids containing Xenos corpses and drugs, of all things. These pumps are manned by awful, lumpy children who look as though they have tuberculosis. Again, thank you for that, Mr. Watson.
How do
This
you
raises
look
the
like you have
question.
tuberculosis? That's an internal
Were you ever
disease.
in the Underpalace?
No, my lord. My friend says he was for a while. I haven't seen her in a long time, though. I think she has the job of greasing gears and blood bumps.
Oh my.
Moving on, I say that a lot this cast. There is an admittedly humorous depiction of petitioners trying to enter into the High Lord's hearing chamber. It is humorous as there are numerous merchants selling things to people on the line, from wax dogs to all kinds of greasy finger foods and even portable latrines.
What?
Normal.
Before I was a boxer, my overseer wanted me to sell snacks to people in the line. I'm glad I got this job instead.
Yeah, it's probably
I get
safer.
to be with the Holy Emperor instead of getting stomped flat by folks in line like many of my siblings.
And that concludes chapter 17.
I'm actually a little more curious about the ecclesiarch's
more
reaction
to
there
go,
to hearing what the
folks.
boys said.
Inquisitor.
Saying what actually kind of at least implies he was unaware of that. Might also just be something the guy randomly said and just kept it in because it's funny. Like Goblin Throne.
The most baffling of scenarios. Draco and his party leave the palace and depart for the slums of the city surrounding the palace.
What?
What is the name of that city again?
I don't know, actually.
Isn't it just like Earth and
I
everything's
am
city?
a privileged bastard, aren't I?
Sounds like he's developing multiple personalities.
Well, they go to that city and apparently spend months moving back towards the palace.
Why?
They do this because they think they are being followed by potential assailants. While roving through the city, they kill numerous people and murder more than a few families in order to assume their lifestyle and hide from these unseen assailants.
Bunch of fucking murder hobos.
Yeah, literally.
Very good people.
They eventually wind up at the Eternity Gate, disguised as somewhat high-ranking officials. I find it incongruous that they murder a sister of battle, a tech priest, a small child, and similar, just so they can steal their identities and sneak into the palace.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work well.
Making their party look even more suspect can somehow help them break through our security protocols.
Maybe it was Taco Day?
Good point.
On a Tuesday.
Reason they get pretty damn far into the literal Imperial Palace. I am ashamed.
I wouldn't be surprised. People seem to waltz into here all the damn time.
Before they're about to be made by the guards.
Just say they're the Inquisition here to invade. They'll be ignored.
Stops.
Father, apparently you stopped time so you could talk with him. You then conveyed his incorporeal form into this very throne room and spoke with him about already knowing all about the Hydra and that he would be your agent against evil.
I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that this man has never in his life ever set foot in this throne room, corporeally or incorporeally.
You sincerely cannot remember if you had ever spoken to him, Lord?
Sincerely. Neither this man nor his ramblings strikes even the smallest of bells within my memory.
How about a gong?
This unfortunately
giant
means
perfect
that our
gong.
entire story was all for naught. I hope.
As a custodian guard, this is quite gratifying, but as a reader of this book, it is thoroughly
Is it just me or is the background shaking more?
And that is also
Still getting sick. I gotta make sure not to look at it. It is actually making me seasick.
Inquisitor. Epilogue.
Wait, that was the end?
I'm feeling the burn from reading this now. I am not reading it.
Oh yeah, it was
all of
multiple parts.
If you people desperately want to know how it all ends, the book ends with an old man shitting himself to death.
Seriously?
Is anyone surprised? No.
Ah, so it does, ending with a truly potent allegory to the human
Really?
condition.
Inquisitor. Over. I suppose.
Yeah.
Alright. So, since this took a year to get through and my entire body has been lit on fire by Ian Watson, I wish to stop here for now. There will be no questions this time
Are they gonna
around
do the
because
follow-up
I know the
books?
vicious blob beasts listening to this will only make it worse.
Thank you for this mercy, my lord.
Thank you. And for inviting me onto this Voxcast, I would also like to say, what did I do to deserve this? Is this my way of repenting for my previous wrongdoings?
No.
Please, I beg of you.
They just
do
enjoy your
not
suffering,
exact this
dude.
intense a punishment on me again, for I fear my old body will not be able to take it. I must go now and drink from the fountain of aspirin.
and sleep, long and deep. I wish you all good recovery.
You're all a bunch of whiners.
You'll be joining it though, won't you?
Do you consume the taco on the Friday or the Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday is on Friday.
Powers of coerce prevail!
Okay, Magnus pulled off the ultimate dick move right at the end. Oh yes, I have Taco Tuesday on a Friday. The Emperor just freaks out at the end. Oh, that was a good way to end it. Just they're keeping Taco Tuesday alive. The Dornian heresy will continue. Oh, that's just... I'm amused by that. I'm entirely too amused by that. I will say, though, and this is more of a personal thing, the background and most of it moving and wibbling, as not a lot, and you can kind of ignore it after a while, but if you ever focus on it for a second, it just... Seasickness. It was that seasickness feeling of just not being in one place, and it was a little disorienting. Yeah, let's go with that. I think the high point, though, was still just Rogel reacting to Boy being corrupted by an Inquisitor not talking about chaos. That was brilliant. And Carstodes reading Harry Potter, loving the book, reading the wrong book, being called out on that by Boy of all people, and then breaking down and realizes they're not real. It actually makes me like his character even more. I swear the podcasts have done more for his character than anything else in all of TTS, and I'm fine with that. It's just hilarious. As for this book by Ian Watson, this was published. And if this is to be quoted right, Steven Spielberg said, "This is my next movie." To be fair, it makes about as much sense as the movie AI did. And while I have seen a lot of the reasoning behind why that movie was made the way it was, that's an excuse for Steven Spielberg, not for Ian Watson. Yeah. I mean, even just with the few paragraphs they pulled up and read word for word, and I'm just... How do you say absolute and utter rage and depression in the same sentence within the same word at the sheer loathing that someone considered that writing worthwhile? I mean, when I read 50 Shades of Grey, and it was something I did as a Patreon reward, and I regretted every second of it, I was raging, not about all the overdone sex scenes or some of the really fucked up things, but just the sheer lack of skill in the writing and some of the stupid uses of language that it shows whoever was editing this decide, no one will ever buy it, and didn't. And then this book is giving me that same feeling. Ugh, I didn't even read the book and I'm already enraged. Just a few sections. To everyone in the TTS cast who actually sat through this, oh, you poor bastards. For everyone watching, though, there is a link below to the original video. If you haven't watched it already, do it. Because you've watched a reaction. I'm not sure why you haven't. That'd be weird. And make sure to go subscribe to them because they suffered through that. I think they might have actually read the book too. At least someone did to comment on it. Oh, that poor bastard. Yeah, that's going above and beyond the call of humor. That poor bastard. It's all the same, everyone. I'm just going to go and not think about this at all. Ever. It had some of the best humor and also the worst source to base it on. I love the podcast, but I hate what they were doing. Because this book deserves to be burned. That was painful. But it's funny because they could point out all the painful ways. Like, they made something great with something terrible. So it worked out as a podcast. But if I had to read the book alone without the commentary on the side... Nope. 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 Just nope. No, I wouldn't even try. That's... And you can't forget, they point out this guy also wrote The Orgasm Machine. If you ever see this guy at a book signing, don't shake his hand. I'm not sure if that's a joke or not. I'm really not, and that actually scares me. Moving on. Anywhere else? I gotta go lose a 40,000 point duel, so... Or, sorry, I'm going to win a 4,000 point duel, not 40,000. That would be more than I own. Way more than I own. I don't... Ugh. So all the same, everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, which is going to be Behemoth, because I still have to watch episodes 1 and 2. And then I think it'll be Hell's Reach. Yep. Unless another episode comes out. Probably not anytime this century. So all the same, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.
Thank you.